Sup guys, it's Alex here and welcome to a new Bracketology update for you guys. This one is as of March 6th, as you can see right there and as you can tell from the title of the video. But before I get into this analysis and going through the bracket, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching and subscribing to me. I now have over 2,500 subscribers and I did it by March 15th. So you know what that means? I'll be giving away 2 NCAA tournament tickets now. I'm debating on whether to do 3 if I can get to 3,000 by March 15th. But you know what? If I get to 3,000 by March 15th, you know what? We'll do it. That gives us about 10 days to do it. That's about averaging 50 subscribers a day. So if we can do that, I'll give away 3 NCAA tournament tickets. I never thought I'd be doing this, but hey, why not do it for you guys? You guys have been loyal and been giving me tons of support over the past couple months and stuff like that. And if you are new to the channel or if you haven't already, the details and instructions for this will be in the description below. If you go to Instagram, show me a screenshot of you being subscribed, send me your favorite team and your closest NCAA tournament location. You will be entered for this NCAA tournament ticket giveaway. These are all the entries with the person on their Instagram name and favorite team and location. As you can see, we have almost 200 different entries so far. So if we get, so we're now giving away 2 entries, so that just doubles your chances of getting it. The most favorite team from the people are 18 people have chosen Kentucky as their favorite team, and then 38 people have chosen Hartford as their location, which that doesn't mean anything. That's just a couple of statistics for you there, as you can see. But yeah, thank you guys for subscribing and all that. Thank you guys for all the support. And if you haven't already, I think this will be gone by like 10 o'clock tonight or whatever. But I'm going to be doing an NCAA Basketball 10 series on my channel of me going through the NCAA tournament on like the 360 or whatever. It's the most recent NCAA basketball game available. I'm trying to decide who I should be using for my run to the national championship. You guys can vote by going to the community tab on my channel, as you can see right there, and voting. Right now, Kentucky with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins is just beating Butler with Gordon Hayward, Shelvin Mack, and Matt Howard. So if you haven't already, go ahead and vote. Make your voices heard. It looks like it's going to come down to Kentucky and Butler. There's an other option, but the post has to get like 50 likes, and I think that the closest one is like North Carolina with 16. So it's basically going to be a battle between Kentucky and Butler. If you don't want to see Kentucky, make sure you vote for Butler. But if you want to see Kentucky, keep voting for Kentucky. Do whatever you want. And yeah, so there's a couple of different plugs right there. So now let's go ahead and get into the bracketology. So Duke almost, I just got to say this, Duke almost lost to Wake Forest. I watched the end of that game. If Wake Forest had made that shot, it rolled all around the rim as the game ended. Man, that would have been crazy. But in the end, Duke ended up winning, so they remain a 1 seed, as you can see right there. And then Kentucky took care of business on the road against Ole Miss. Iowa is now down to a 9, as you can see right there. Kansas is now down to a 4 after going and losing to Oklahoma, which now Kansas is guaranteed not to win the Big 12 regular season title for the first time in 14 years, which is absolutely crazy. Ole Miss is now down to 11 after blowing an opportunity against Kentucky last night. I think they've lost like 3 in a row. And LSU is now up to a 3, taking Kansas' spot. Then over here in the West, we have Florida State up to a 4 now after beating Virginia Tech in overtime last night. Auburn is now up to a 6 after beating Alabama. And then Villanova is now down to a 7 with Auburn just taking their spot right there on the 6th line. Then over here in the Midwest Regional in Kansas City, we have Virginia Tech now down to a 5 after losing, as I mentioned earlier, to Florida State. Then we have Utah State now up to a 10. They almost lost last night to Colorado State. It went to overtime, but they were able to hold on and get the dub. Then VCU is now up to an 8 after destroying George Mason. And then Arizona State is now up to an 11. Not sure why, but I don't know if they played or not. They might have gotten a good win. I don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and check out the bubble real quick. Last 4 buys, as you can see right there. Ole Miss, who are starting to play their way onto the bubble, which is not good. Then Minnesota, who got a huge win against Purdue at home last night, so congratulations to the Golden Gophers there. St. John's and Arizona State. Last 4 in are Alabama, Seton Hall, which are both 2 teams that have beaten Kentucky. Temple and TCU as the last team in. They've been falling off. They lost to Kansas State. They might not make the tournament at this point. First 4 out are Clemson, St. Mary's, Furman, and Murray State, as you can see right there. And then the next 4 out are Indiana, Georgetown, Xavier, and Creighton. So as you guys know, if you've been following my channel, you know that I go on Brackify.com and create an interactive bracket for you guys, which you can kind of see my reflection right there. I go on Brackify.com, create the interactive bracket for you guys. Go ahead and vote, make your voices heard. I think that these brackets, I've been getting almost like 25,000 to 30,000 votes each time in each video I've been doing it, which is crazy to think. It's crazy to think how big the actual NCAA tournament prediction video is going to do. And I'll put the link for this for you guys to vote in the description, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you click the link and make your voices heard. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into my predictions. So first up in the first round, we have Virginia versus the winner of Iona and Norfolk State, which I think that one's pretty obvious. I think Virginia would win that matchup. Baylor and Iowa. Iowa has not been impressing me recently. I think they've lost most of their recent games, and even the ones that they've won, it's been pretty close. I'm going to go with Baylor picking up the dub there. Same with Maryland over Temple and Seton Hall, which I think would be Temple. Kansas, I think, will lose to Lipscomb. I just kind of made the decision on the fly there. But Lipscomb, if they can win the Atlantic Sun tournament, which I think is coming up pretty, I think it's already on right now. I think that they can get the dub here. They're one of the best at-large teams available, and I think that they'll be able to beat Kansas, who have just been kind of falling off the map recently. They have a couple of good wins, but they just can't be consistent with their wins. I'm going to go with a huge upset there with Lipscomb. Then I'm going to have Buffalo beat Ole Miss. LSU will beat Yale. I think that Louisville will beat Oklahoma. Even though Oklahoma did get the dub against Kansas yesterday, I think that Louisville is a better team at this point. Same with Michigan State over Loyola Chicago. Kentucky will beat Sam Houston State. I think that UCF with Taco Fall, they showed that they can go on the road and beat a great Houston team. I mean, Texas has been playing teams really close too. They're a pretty good team, but I think that UCF will get the victory there. And then I'm going to go with Virginia Tech here beating the winner of Alabama and TCU, which I think would be Alabama. Then I'm going to go with another upset pick here, another 13-4. I'm going to go with Vermont beating Ethan Happ and Wisconsin. I think Vermont's one of the best at-large teams available, though they could lose against UMBC. We don't know what's going to happen with that America East Championship, but as of right now, I think Vermont's the one seed in that region, or in that conference, not region. I think they'll be able to get the victory here against Wisconsin. Then we have Mississippi State, I think, will beat St. John's. Texas Tech will beat South Dakota State and Mike Down. Cincinnati, I think, will beat Utah State, though Utah State could be a sleeper pick. We never know what's going to happen with them. They just beat Nevada. We'll see what happens. Then North Carolina will beat Colgate. Gonzaga will beat the winner of that playing game. Doesn't really matter who wins. I think that Syracuse will beat Washington here. And we have, I'm going to go with another upset pick here. I think I did it in the last video, Bracketology video I did. I'm going to go with Belmont upsetting the 5-seed Iowa State right there. Then we have Florida State beating Hofstra. Auburn, I think, will lose to Minnesota. Going to go with another upset pick here. I'm going to pick Minnesota moving on there. Then Houston will beat UC Irvine. Villanova, I think, will beat NC State. And then Michigan will beat Montana. Duke will beat Campbell and the leading scorer in the nation and Chris Clemens. And we have VCU, I think, will beat Florida. You know, Florida has a great opportunity for a big win tonight against LSU. We'll see what happens with that. Kansas State, I think, will beat New Mexico State. Marquette will beat Old Dominion. I think that Nevada, however you pronounce it, will beat Arizona State. Purdue will beat Southern. Then we have Wofford beating, Wofford, however you want to say it, will beat Ohio State. And then we have Tennessee beating Wright State. I think that's a rematch from last year when Tennessee was a 3 and Wright State was a 14. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we got Virginia beating Baylor. Maryland, I think, will beat Lipscomb. LSU, I think, will beat Buffalo. And then Michigan State will beat Louisville. Then we have Kentucky beating UCF. I think that I'm gonna put Vermont. Moving on, I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Virginia Tech here. I mean, they did beat Duke while they were shorthanded. They blew a lead to Florida State last night, but, I mean, I don't know if Justin or Jerome, something like that. I don't know when he's going to be back, if he's going to be back, but I like Virginia Tech in that matchup there. Texas Tech, I think, will beat Mississippi State, and then North Carolina will beat Cincinnati. Then I'm going to go with an upset pick here. I know I think I had Gonzaga winning it all in the last video that I did, but why not change it up? Why not go with a huge upset pick here with a 9-1? I can go with Ty's battle in Syracuse. I mean, they almost beat Duke. They've been playing teams, or they did beat Duke at Duke earlier in the season. They almost just beat them again. We'll see what happens with that. But I think that they could pull off the huge upset here against Gonzaga, who hasn't played anybody good in a while. I mean, that is a huge upset. But you never know, it might happen. And we have Florida State beating Belmont. Then we have Houston beating Minnesota, and then Michigan beating Villanova. And then Duke, I think I upset a lot of people with Villanova beating Michigan in the last video that I did. We got Duke beating VCU, Marquette losing. As much as I want to pick Marcus Howard here, I mean they played tonight, so they can impress me against Seton Hall. But I'm going to go with Kansas State here. I think that they're able to shut down Marquette, which they just proved in the last game that they played. I think it was against Creighton that if Marcus Howard gets shut down, the whole team shuts down. And we have Purdue beating Nevada, whatever. And Wofford losing to Tennessee. I almost said Wofford winning there. Then we have first spot in the Elite Eight, Virginia beating Maryland. Then I'm going to go with LSU with Naz Reid and Tremont Waters. I think that they're going to get the victory here over Michigan State. I think LSU should be a 2 seed at this point. Then Kentucky, I think, will beat Virginia Tech. Then I'm going to go with North Carolina here. I really like Texas Tech. I think in any other region I would pick them moving on to the Elite Eight, but they're running into the buzzsaw that is North Carolina, which I think can get a huge victory against Duke this weekend and potentially win the ACC tournament. We'll see what happens with that. And Syracuse and Florida State battle the ACC teams here. I'm going to go with Syracuse moving on to the Elite Eight. I mean, they're known for making runs in the tournament. I think that they can get the job done there as a 9 seed. Then we have Michigan beating Houston. Then we have Duke beating Kansas State, and then Tennessee beating Purdue. Then for a spot in the Final Four, Virginia and LSU. I'm going to go with LSU, the SEC team, moving on there. I think Virginia's been struggling in the NCAA tournament. I think it's been a while since they've I think they're due for a loss at some point. And I think that LSU is one of the best sleeper teams in the NCAA at this point. Then I think that Kentucky will beat Duke in a rematch, or not Duke, North Carolina, in a rematch of what happened earlier in December when Kentucky won. I think they get the dub again and move on to the national championship, or to the Final Four. And I think that Michigan will beat Syracuse, and then Duke will beat Tennessee. And then first spot in the national championship game, LSU and Kentucky. LSU was able to go on the road and beat Kentucky earlier this season, but I don't see this happening again. I think Kentucky gets the job done here. And Michigan and Duke. As much as I want to pick Duke here, I'm going to go with Michigan making their second national championship game in a row. I think that they get the job done here against Duke, especially if Zion is in there. If Michigan can win against Michigan State this weekend, I think this will be a good sign for them. But yeah, they could prove me wrong by losing to Michigan State this weekend. We'll see what happens with that. If Zion's back, I don't think Duke, or if Zion doesn't get back, I don't think Duke makes the Final Four. But this is all assuming that he is back. Then in the national championship game, Kentucky and Michigan. I got to go with Big Blue here. I think that they get the job done in that situation and beat the Kentucky transfer Charles Matthews. So, sorry, guys. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. My voice is going out, as you can kind of tell right here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all later.